everyone, and welcome to episode 169 of the Run in the Paint podcast. I'm Miles here with Joey and Ben. Guys, how are you doing today?
Feeling good, feeling great. Glad to be back with you guys after a little bit of a break there.
That's right. It's been a little while here over the last couple weeks, and there's certainly been a lot that has happened. It seems like in the blink of an eye, we are a quarter of the way through the regular season so far, which is absolutely incredible. So we're going to take a look at some teams and players around the league that are playing well, and some teams that are struggling a little bit as well with our quarterly report here after the first quarter of the season. So it should be a lot of fun. But to start things off, we're going to get things kicked off with Pirtle. Joey, who is our first player going to be to guess today?
We were watching the end of the game right before we started this with the Utah Jazz probably going to beat the Houston Rockets. Lauri Markkanen, the Utah Jazz, get their seventh win of the year. So let's go,
Let's do it.
Lauri.
Lauri Markkanen, the 7-footer. All right, so it's going to be a Western Conference, most likely a forward that is not 7 feet tall, under 26 years old, and a number that is 20 or lower.
Hmm.
Let's see, young forward. Let's see, Ben. Anyone kind of stand out to you? Just start.
Uh,
Isn't in the Northwest either, so we can cut out
hmm.
Denver, Portland, Utah,
Yeah.
Minnesota, and the Thunder.
Oh, I can't think of anyone standing out yet. Trying to think.
First guy we could go with is someone who's been playing pretty well on a good team in the Western Conference. We could go Jake LaRavia, who's on the Lakers,
Ooh,
number 12.
Okay,
it's a good one.
not a dead one.
Let's try him out, Jake LaRavia. Wow, all right, we got a lot of good information there. So
All
this is going
right,
to be
good
6'8" or
guess.
6'9", 23 or 22 years old, and wears the number 11 or 10 in the Southwest Division. So it'll be one of the Texas teams,
Is it
Memphis.
Jabari?
It could be. Yeah,
The
actually could be.
Utah just beat them, so I'm like immediately just thinking, I'm like number 10,
I'm
taller,
thinking, well, let's
younger.
go with it. Let's try it out. Jabari Smith. Oh
It
What?
is number
my
10 though.
dude, that's about as close as it
Oh,
gets. Wow. All right. Let's see. San Antonio. Is this
This?
Jeremy Sohan on the Spurs? I think.
is he
Oh,
still that young?
I think so. I think this is only his
yeah,
third third year
Dushan.
in the league.
That's a good guess.
Let's try it. Jeremy
The Polish man
Sohan.
himself. Let's
And we got it
go.
with the
Yeah.
there. Jeremy Sohan in 4. Let us know how long it took you guys to get Jeremy Sohan. But now it's time for the quarterly report. 1/4 of the way through the season here. And I think obviously it's been a couple weeks since we have been on here, and a lot of things have been going on around the league. But I think the best way to probably go about this is, it's a quarterly report. Buy, sell, or hold with some teams that are playing so far in the league. So why don't we get things started in the Eastern Conference? Let's start off in the Eastern Conference and talk about a team that has been red hot all season long. The Pistons, the Detroit Pistons, who are now 17-4, 1/4 of the way through the season, number 1 record in the Eastern Conference, and Ben, they have looked absolutely fantastic. So not entirely sure how we want to go about this as far as buy, sell, or hold on them being a title contender, staying in that spot. You can kind of take it however you want to go with it. But Ben, I know you were someone that was very high on the Pistons coming into the year. So far, it's played out that way. So right now, would you buy, sell, or hold on the Pistons going forward?
Wow. The Pistons have been playing some awesome basketball. They've been hot. They've been playing kind of like I was expecting to see out of them before the season. So I'm gonna have to buy. It's hard for me not to buy. The team, it's just pressed me like I thought they could have done. Cade, it's been phenomenal. One of the best point guards of basketball, and Durant has looked even better and getting pretty good bench production and stuff. So yeah, I really like what the Pistons have done. Impressed with how they started the season, that's for sure.
Joey, what has been the most impressive thing to you about the Pistons being 17-4 on the season?
Um, I kind of figured because we do, as former Cavs fans, we do like former coach JB Bickerstaff. We all know he was going to do good things for them and Kate Cunningham, but I didn't expect him to be this good. I don't know. Everyone except Ben thought they would be.
Well, I mean, I don't even think Ben. I mean, Ben, did you think they could be number one in the East right now? I mean, I think even that was a stretch for even probably the most enthusiastic of a Pistons
Yeah,
fan.
Yeah, you know, thought about it like before the start of the season, but I was like, I don't think they could like edge out the Knicks or the Cavs there, but I think they could still finish towards the top of the standings. But
yeah.
yeah, it's looking good with that so far.
Yeah, and here they are. And I would say the biggest thing is we all said K needed a second star among them if they wanted to be anywhere close to the Knicks or the Cavs. And Jalen Duren has just taken that role and surpassed it even. He has been playing fantastic. He's an early pick, I think, for like someone to get their first All-Star bid this year, easy money. Um, and that's exactly what they needed. They needed someone like him. We all, at least I thought it was going to be Jaden Ivey when he comes back. But even with even with Jaden Ivey, if he comes back and when he comes back, he's just going to add probably to how they're playing. And I think it's huge kudos to that entire coaching staff, just in trusting Jalen Duren and like putting the ball in his hand and making him like this. And Cade obviously just his rise to superstardom as well is nothing to shy about as well.
Yeah, Pistons have had a definitely great start to the year, and I mean it's hard to look anywhere else other than Cade and Duran here to begin the season. Of course, all the role players are playing well. Thompson, has been very solid. Tobias Harris has been efficient from three. Duncan Robinson has been a great addition. He's provided the 3-point shooting that they've definitely needed, and Karis LeVert has picked it up as well. Even like the Dennis Jenkins type of players, they're just coming up out of nowhere, out of their development program and just playing well, giving them big minutes as a backup guard there. But I think probably the biggest reason they've been able to be in this position is because Cade Cunningham has been the king of the fourth quarter in this season so far. The Pistons, despite having the top record in the East, second best record in the NBA, have played in the most clutch games this season. They've played 21 games this season. 15 of them have been in clutch situations, and they're 12-3 in clutch situations. Uh, Last night, as this is releasing, they defeated the Atlanta Hawks, who have also been very solid, by a point in that game, which is their 10th win this season by single digits, which is the most in the league. So right now they've been racking up clutch wins and having the king of the fourth quarter as Dallas is going a little crazy there. Ben, having someone like Cade Cunningham who can just step up in the clutch is so important. And currently, right now, of course, the Pistons are getting good play, from their role players like we talked about, but they've been the best clutch team in the league right now, and they've been able to win close games in a tight Eastern Conference that's kind of been the separator.
Yeah, the Pistons, they sure know how to come up clutch so far this year, especially Cade Cunningham. And it's a good side, for come playoff time later on in the season that we've been seeing already that they can get it done, get big wins and clutch games, just like they did against the Hawks tonight. Cade Cunningham, wow, he made a crazy reverse layup. That was a crazy play. Just gets to show how talented Cade Cunningham is now.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Pistons have been very, very impressive. Again, I mean, we'll still have to wait a little bit until we, I think, can really consider them. Think of them as maybe a title contender this season. The East has been incredibly wide open because Joey was saying earlier, the Knicks and the Cavs were seen to be the top two teams in the East coming into the year, and Knicks are picking it up. Cavs have some things they have to work on, but both teams have definitely had their ups and downs to begin the season. I guess, Joey, I think that's where we should probably go next. Let's go to to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I know it's difficult, to talk about right now, but they are 13-9 on the season. They had lost 3 straight games before defeating the Indiana Pacers last night, where Donovan Mitchell had a crazy 43-point game. But a quarter of the way in the season, they played the most games in the league with a 13-9 sample size through 22 games. So overall, in the Cavs, buying, selling, or holding the
Oh
Cavs.
man. Well, going into the year, got it. We were hoping to be title contenders, possibly Eastern Conference finalists and stuff like that was our goal. And if you're asking me, is that the same now? No, I would sell on that right now personally, just because we got a lot of things to figure out. But the smart thing in me, I would also say hold because we are only a quarter of the way into the year. Like there's plenty of time to figure it out, but the same questions I had a month ago and a lot of worries that I had about the Cavs are still very apparent, even with some of our guys still becoming healthy. Obviously, like we've been talking a lot, still changing lineups all the time because not everyone is healthy. A lot of people aren't playing back to backs and stuff like that. But there's a big question mark, at least in my opinion, on the effort that I have been seeing from the Cavs, and it's been rebounding in defense. I said it a month ago. It's like they really need to start kicking into gear. It just seems that like I think Kenny Atkinson and the coaching staff is great, but it does not seem that it's the same type of like everyone hasn't really bought in like they did last year when they went on that crazy run.
Yeah, Ben, I mean, it's hard to disagree with that so far. I mean, it's definitely been up and down, and I mean, just plainly enough, I mean, they're 13-9, and they just have not looked that good so far this season. I think the biggest questions are, I mean, mainly the defensive rebounding deficiencies, players being in and out of the lineup the whole season through. I mean, we are a quarter of the way through the season, but should Cavs fans be worried or panicking about the start that they've had so far?
Well, me myself as a Cavs fan, I'm a little worried, but I hope that they're hopefully going to be able to figure this thing out and get better. I understand that, like, even with some guys being out with injury and, you know, multiple different lineup rotations for like most games and stuff so far this year. I understand like the different lineup rotations can get difficult and stuff, but at the same time, I'm a bit disappointed with how the Cavs have played, even with the lineup rotations, because I've seen some teams, switch up, have some different lineups, but still look pretty good on some nights. And we haven't totally seen that all the time from the Cavs. Like what Joey said, I think the rebounding's been a problem at times. Um, Evan Mobley, I think, has looked good, but I haven't seen the leap I've wanted to see out of him yet so far this year. I'm a little worried about that, but I hope I hope he could turn it up here sometime soon. And the sometimes I have like the Cavs shooting a ton of 3-point shots. Like I look the Cavs knocked down decent amount of 3-point shots and a close Celtics loss recently, but they took 51, which is a ton. Still, some of them weren't going down. I would have liked a bit less of that. That's kind of been the thing with the Cavs. But I mean, maybe the 3-point shooting thing will turn out to be good. I mean, the NBA, I mean, just seems to grow even more nowadays with the 3-point shooting and teams, trying to knock those down more often.
Yeah, I definitely, the Cavs are definitely a team that it's hard to gauge right now because of all the different lineup deficiencies. But we have, seen, a pretty solid sample size of, it is pretty consistent with them having some difficulties getting defensive rebounds. To me, that's the number one thing that does get frustrating is the lack of defensive rebounds. The threes, like, whatever. I mean, most great teams are going to put up a lot of threes because if you put up a lot of threes, I mean, it's a numbers game. We've talked about it a lot on this podcast before. Right now, the Cavs are leading the league in 3-point attempts per game right now, which is, kind of wild to think. They are, only, in the middle of the pack as far as percentage goes, but that's also what, again, guys are in and out of the lineup. Sam Merrill has not been in the lineup for a little while. He's been great this season. Darius Garland is just returning. DeAndre Hunter's trying to find his stroke as well. So there are some things that I think can go the Cavs' way later on in the season. I think the biggest indicator of why you can't really gain too many conclusions from 20 games into the season is when you look at a team like the Pacers last year. I mean, last year to start the season, things did not go well at all to start the year for the Pacers. They started 10-15 through 25 games, and that was with looking at the numbers: Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, Benedict Mathurin, Miles Turner. Those guys basically played in every single game to start the season, basically in all 25 games. It was some role players like Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nemhard that were in and out of the lineup, and other guys were randomly having to, shuffle in and change the flow of things. And the Pacers were not playing well. Looking at their stats through 25 games last year, all those numbers were worse. Like rebounding was worse, defensive rebounding was worse, the 3-point, percentage was worse. They were turning the ball over a whole lot. So there are a whole lot of indicators of why you can't really make any major conclusions or panic on anything this early in the season, just because you never know what could happen. I mean, watching the Cavs beat the Pacers today, I was listening to the Cavs broadcast, and sometimes I get frustrated, with what they have to say sometimes. But they brought up a good point of like, yes, there's been some struggles as well, but you take a look at Christmas time last year. Who in their right mind would have said that the Pacers would go to Game 7 of the NBA Finals? No one. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't think that they would know what they're talking about. So there's a whole, rest of the season here to go. There's a whole nother 60 games to play. There are things that do have to get figured out. But on the bright side of things, because there has, we've been talking about our concerns, is some of the younger guys have stepped up and played pretty well, like a Jalen Tyson, Naquan Tomlin, Tyrese Proctor. Of course, Donovan Mitchell's been ridiculous, but Joey, I mean, those younger role players that we didn't expect to be, big contributors have been so far.
Yeah, I've been very thoroughly impressed with specifically Tyson, Merrill, and Naquan Tomlin. Naquan Tomlin, two-way contract with the Charge. He's playing himself into a regular roster spot for the entire regular season, in my opinion. And Sam Merrill, before he got injured, was fantastic. Looking like that contract was – we got a bargain because he was playing fantastic. And then Jalen Tyson, I thought – I'm like, well, when Max Strus, he's going to be out of the lineup. He won't be in the rotation unless we see like a big leap out of him. Well, we are seeing a very significant leap out of him that he – with the injury to Strus and Hunter being iffy and sometimes like that, he's been in the starting lineup and he's been playing great. Like, I absolutely love some of those guys that have been playing. It's just a couple of those stars that I need to see a little more effort consistently. We talked about it in the pre-pod lobby that they make it close at the end, but man, if you gave a little more of that effort that you did in the fourth quarter to come back from 15 to make it close, probably wouldn't be down 15.
Yeah, that's what's been kind of mind-blowing. We were talking, again, Joey was saying in the pre-pod lobby, like for as, bad as they have looked at sometimes, there haven't been many games where they've gotten like creamed or crushed or anything. Like I could go through their, schedule real quick and look at the games, but there have not been a whole lot of, besides I guess the game in Boston early in the season, and then the home game, the second home game against Toronto, where they were trying to make a comeback and could not. I mean, besides that, they have not gotten completely blitzed or blown out or anything. Like they eventually go on a run to get back in the game and make it close. But eventually, I always say the basketball guys, the right team is going to win in that individual game most of the time, and that has happened so far. The Cavs have gotten themselves to a 13-9 start. Like this. But Joey, I will say the Jalen Tyson numbers, he had a terrific game last night. His numbers now on the season 12 and a half points, 5 rebounds per game, shooting 51% from the field and 48% from three, which is third in the league in 3-point percentage, which is incredible. I mean, he's looking like, that type of role player that needs to, play, in rotation rates. He's going to make it very difficult for the coaching staff to take him out of the lineup going forward when guys get back healthy. And Ben, want to get your thoughts on this. I mean, what we're seeing right now with guys in and out of the lineup, guys like Tyson, Tomlin, Craig Porter, guys just step in and play pretty well. I think this is pretty good for the Cavs when they come back because honestly, some of the players that they brought in during the offseason that were expected to add some depth to this team, like Lonzo Ball, Larry Nance Jr., I guess those are the two main guys. Dean Wade, who's been in the rotation, for the last few years. Those three guys have frankly been pretty bad this year. Yeah, I mean, awful. I mean, saying that they've been pretty bad is kind of nice. I mean, Lonzo has provided some solid things rebounding wise as a guard, and you see some of the playmaking, but the shot has not fallen. Larry Nance, besides some energy moments, has been pretty bad, and Dean Wade has been very inconsistent. So, do you think that when Kenny Atkinson gets this rotation back, Ben, that they should have the mindset where, listen, we got to play who's playing best. It doesn't matter your pedigree in the league. We got to play who's going to give us our best energy and effort and our best shot to win, the game on that particular night.
Yeah, I think Kenny Atkinson's got to go by. I know it's going to be tough when more guys get healthy trying to figure out the lineup and stuff with some of these guys stepping up, but I think he's got to go by just playing, your best guys, trying to run who, you really believe is your best rotation. Like, even if Tomlin's playing better than Larry Nance Jr., well, you signed Larry Nance to a free agent contract. I play Tomlin over him then because, you know, Tomlin's shown it. He has been better than Nance. He's shown good hustle. He's done some solid rebounding. He's shown some good contributing stuff out there. And Jalen Tyson, wow, he's having a great second year so far. He had some big scoring outings on some games, including tonight against the Pacers, and I like him for defense too. He's shown some pretty good stuff defensively. He can be versatile on that end. And that I like a lot about him too. So he definitely needs to be this rotation getting time going forward as Tyson. And yeah, Craig Porter, Tyrese Proctor, yeah, I'm happy these guys have picked up the slack and had some good moments even with, Lonzo Ball kind of struggling here to get his time started in Cleveland, but I hope Lonzo Ball will figure it out. We'll see.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. As much as I do love Isaac Okoro, Jalen Tyson has kind of turned into the player we all wish Isaac Okoro would turn into, a consistent 3-and-D guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we move on, I'll ask one last question. Obviously, quarter of the way through the season, and I know there's kind of a bias to it because we're all Cavs fans. But if we're trying to look at this from just just a unbiased point of view, have the Cavs been the biggest disappointment in the league so far this season?
Feel like there's a team over in the West that we might get to talking to later.
Okay.
Might be a little more disappointing than the Cavs because the Cavs, 13-9, at least we have an excuse that we're very hard on them. I'm very hard on them right now because I've watched a lot of the Cavs basketball and I see them like, you guys could be winning so many more games, but you're not. But like we have talked about many times, there have been multiple injuries. We have a different starting lineup every third game. It's what happens.
Okay. Just interested to hear that because I saw that take on social media. I'm like, I mean, they're definitely up there. I don't know if they're number one though.
No, I don't think they're number one either.
I think the good thing with 60 games left is teams like the Cavs and other teams that have been off to slow starts that are expected to be pretty good is, I think this next quarter of the season, you kind of break things down into different steps. I think the first quarter of the season, was rough, just specifically for the Cavs. This next quarter of the season, use it to kind of rediscover Cavs basketball from last season. Then the last 2 quarters of the season, you can use it to experiment and try different things out to what fits this current roster because it is different than last year. But you got to figure out that juice and energy that you had last year and bring it over to this team. And then the fourth quarter, you're the fourth quarter of the season before the postseason. You refine those things, and hopefully that has them playing their best basketball heading into the playoffs. I think that's kind
Completely
of the
agree.
plan they got to have. But let's go to the Western Conference. Here we've talked about 2 East teams so far. Western Conference. Let's start off. We'll cover both teams in LA, but first let's start off with the Lakers, who are 15-4. Tonight they're playing in a tough game against the Phoenix Suns, who have been one of the nice surprises in the league so far this season. There it looks like they're going to fall to them. They're down 24 with 8 minutes to go, which is going to move them down to 15-5 on the season. Lakers have had a phenomenal first quarter of the season, if we're being honest here. They're a team that want to say all three of us were pretty hard on coming into the year about, as far as the fit of their roster, how good would they play in the standings. And so far, Joey, it's turned out to be really good regardless of who is in the lineup. So right now, would you buy, sell, or hold on the Los Angeles Lakers?
I was gonna first off, I will say, am I ever high on the Lakers? I hate LA. It's very notorious that I just hate LA. So let's just be real. That's an obvious one for me. But I will be buying on the Lakers hype right now. They've been playing fantastic with the injuries they've been dealt with to start the year as well. And it starts with Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, in my opinion. Both of them, Luka Doncic playing MVP type numbers like we've seen over the last many years. We knew he's one of the greatest players on the planet. Austin Reeves has been the most consistent scorer as well on that team, though, and he has been helping them even when Luka was out and LeBron has been out. And it's literally him and Jake LaRavia carrying that team. And he is doing it to some wins that they desperately needed. Because now look at them. Now they're getting healthy. LeBron's back. Doncic is back. Everybody is playing. And I know they're losing right now, but that just gives them time now to build chemistry with this layout because they really only had the half year last year. Like, this is the time to build it all up. And I think it's sky's the kind of limit, especially because when we were talking in the pre-pod lobby, LeBron really needs to start get it going. He's ever since he's come back from his sciatica, he's taken it a little slower, and we know it's only a matter of time until LeBron actually just becomes LeBron again, and he's just going to show out. So when that happens, this Lakers team is going to be very, very difficult to win or to beat.
It's crazy. I'm just realizing that. Obviously we're not watching the game right now because we're recording, but 8 minutes left. Lakers are down by 24 right now, and LeBron has 6 points. So tonight could be the night where that long double-digit scoring streak actually comes to an end.
JJ Redick's got to get him in the game and force some shots. I don't care.
They just added a. All right, while we're recording, I'm gonna have this on the side to see if LeBron gets his. Right now, he's at 7 points, which is crazy right now. Oof. Today is the night where that actually comes to an end. But, Ben, aside from this game and, a couple of, rough performances, I mean, the Lakers have been playing very well. I know, Ben, you and I were very hard on their roster heading into the season. But, I mean, so far they've looked great. Like Joey said, Luka and Reeves have been unbelievable. They've been the best scoring duo in the league right now. And in their starting five, Rui Hachimura is playing great, and DeAndre Ayton has been awesome. Ben, what has been your thoughts on the Lakers?
Well, shout out DeAndre Ayton. I was hard on him and was the biggest fan of that signing for the Lakers, but the Lakers are sure proving me wrong with that. He's played some great basketball, and he has definitely filled the need at the center position that they needed. So that's definitely been great for the Lakers. And yeah, Austin Reeves, I thought he could potentially be even better this year, but scoring's been even better than I thought it could have been. Like, he's up there scoring like what Luka is scoring around now in these last few games. And even like when Luka was out of the lineup for a few games earlier the year, Reeves went crazy, put up big numbers without Luka. So Yeah, Austin Reeves, he's been phenomenal, and I think he should be a potential All Star with the way things are going with him right now. So
Update,
yeah,
update. LeBron made a step back three, so it's safe. He has 10 points.
Okay, there we go.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's unreal. And he just missed another step back three.
The
Oh,
duality. He got his streak. That's all that
yeah.
matters.
He got his streak now. He can come out of the game. But no, the Lakers have been very, very impressive. It's still so hard for me to figure out though. And obviously, we still have a long way to go here, but whether or not I should trust them when it comes to the playoffs as a playoff team, because I still feel like the questions that we brought up at the beginning of the season in a playoff setting, we're able to game plan for a full series. If you can plan for like what the Timberwolves did last year and just have a plan to go at Luka, go at Reeves, go at LeBron, get Ayton on switches. Like again, their defense. I'll see what they're exactly rated defensively. I mean, I'm sure it's pretty. It's 17th in the league in defense, so they haven't been the greatest team in the league in defense, which is not surprising. I don't think we expected that at all coming into the year. I mean, they are great because Luka and Reeves have been stars offensively. Like again, Luka he's been incredible. I don't even think like dude, 35 9 and 9 right now. I mean, this guy, I don't know if he'll win the MVP this year. I mean, of course, we'll do awards, later on throughout the season, but the reigning MVP is doing some pretty special things right now. But there's no question he is having an MVP caliber season, and I think his best year in the league right now. And Austin Reeves he's been one of my favorite players to watch in the league because every time I watch him play, I'm just like, man, he's gotten to be so good. I never thought that he would become like a offensive superstar. Like he's absolutely incredible, and that duo is going to be able to do special things in the regular season. But again, I think I'm still not sure whether or not to believe this team when it comes to the playoffs because I think it might be pretty easy to game plan for this team.
That being, I agree because the defense is an issue, but I'll be honest. Being 17th rated in defense, as long as you're on the middle of the pack with this type of offense, I feel like that's not the end of the world. I thought they would be much worse defensively. I thought they'd be bottom 5, to be honest. I know there are some pretty bad teams out there, but like looking at it. But when it comes to the playoffs, they do have the experience. They have the veterans to help. Like they know when to lock in. They know when it has to be that time. Like I do have a weird trust with this team. It feels like compared to the other LA team. That like, hey, when it comes to the playoffs, they'll be okay. I don't know about that.
Yeah. We'll see though. I mean, regardless, it's been very fun to watch them play because of the stars that have been performing so well for them. On the other hand of things, the LA Clippers have not been good at all. I think you guys are right. I think this has been the biggest disappointment in the league, coming off of a very, great year. Honestly, a very surprising year where they won 50 games last year, fifth in the Western Conference, take the Nuggets to 7 games, and on paper improve a ton in the offseason. Bringing in Bradley Beal to replace Norman Powell, and then bringing in a bunch of other role players to play well. And it just has been bad. They're 5-16. They're 14th in the Western Conference right now, with basically all their guys healthy besides Bradley Beal. I mean, they look old, they look slow, and they look awful right now.
Uh, yeah, I gotta agree with you on that, Miles. With the Clippers, they just with the moves they made, I thought they were gonna turn out to be good moves. I knew they were like older guys, but them being older guys, I mean, just really hasn't seemed to help. It just seemed to like make them slower. That when you're like playing down the stretch of games, I've seen like the Clippers be like competitive in games before, but then like things would seem to fall apart like later on in games because it would seem like guys would be getting more tired to be, and the Clippers. I had hopes like when like Kawhi was coming back here just recently that hey, I mean when the Clippers take Kawhi for the first few games to start the season, they were actually doing all right, doing good. It wasn't great. I thought Kawhi maybe could help turn things around a bit, and now that still hasn't worked out. They still have looked bad even with Kawhi in the lineup, which is strange. And Kawhi has had some good scoring games just recently. Still thinking, it's early in the year. I think the Clippers could turn around, maybe make the play-in potentially still. I'm not like completely counting them out yet. They're an old team, but still it's a good talent. But boy, it's been a rough start, and there's definitely a reason to be concerned with them. A big reason I'm concerned with them is that, well, the Thunder own their pick, and the Thunder, who are just a juggernaut right now, could potentially get the number one pick or just the top pick. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. Yeah, things have not been going well. I mean, just to note the overall season that they had, they won two of their first three games, and then let's see. So they started 2-1, and they've gone what 3-15 since, and the three wins were against the Pelicans on that Kawhi Leonard buzzer beater in the NBA Cup in their first game on Halloween. So 2-point win against the Pelicans, double OT win at Dallas the week that Nico Harrison got fired. And then their last win came a couple weeks ago at Charlotte in the game where James Harden had like 55 points. And he's been playing great. That's the wild thing is that he has actually been playing like he's been putting up James Harden numbers kind of like he was putting up with the Houston Rockets. It's kind of crazy. Like he's putting up 28 a game, 9 assists, 6 rebounds. He's getting up, 10 threes a game, shooting 37%. He's getting to the line 9 times, shooting 91%. So he's putting up Harden type numbers. But, besides Kawhi, who's been in and out of the lineup, and Zubats, who's been, okay. He hasn't been as great as he was last year, but the rest of their team has just been bad. I mean, they've gotten about as bad performances from all their role players, Joey. I mean, we haven't been on here since Chris Paul announced his retirement. So, of course, obviously, congratulations to Chris Paul. We, had a feeling that was coming, but he's been bad. Brook Lopez, I feel like he doesn't play enough minutes, but he's not getting enough minutes for the team to trust him. Bogdanovich has been injured. Derek Jones has been injured. It's all been bad. There's really not many bright spots for the LA Clippers season.
There really isn't. We were all saying, at least in the pre-pot lobby, or not even in the pre-pot, in our preseason rankings, this team is built for the playoffs. If they make the play-in, like Ben said, like even if they turn their season around and make the play-in, they're not going to go far. If they're slow and tired and old now, we're a quarter of the way in the season. This is not a good thing. You need to be fresh when it happens. And I know they like the injuries and stuff, but it is really just not good. And I really don't know how they fix it. That's the thing. Like maybe just try to. I honestly have no idea. They just need their guys to play better. Like you said, James Harden and Kawhi when he's playing, they've been great, but like everybody else needs to step up.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they tinker around with their starting lineup because they've been starting like the same lineup for pretty much the whole season. Which again, on paper, this shouldn't be bad. Harden, Chris Dunn, Kawhi Leonard, John Collins, and Zubats. That should not be a lineup that's not good. But I mean, the thing that the overwhelming thing that happened last night was in Miami. They got blitzed by the Heat so bad. They gave up a 32-4 run in the second quarter, came out slow to start the third. That Ty Lue emptied his bench to start the third quarter. Kawhi ended up coming back. He finished with 36 points and a +8 on the game in a 17-point loss. But you can't have those stretches where you're just not playing well because, again, this goes for individual games and for the season push, like you said, Joey and Ben. I mean, the team, they're so old. how are they going to get the energy and the stamina to put together a stretch of, a 5-1 stretch through 6 games to try to come back? Like, you would expect maybe a stretch like this maybe in the middle of the season or the end of the season because they're so old and they're getting tired. But this is happening right now. I mean, who knows? Because the NBA is so crazy, but it would be so backwards if they were able to go on a run during the middle of the season when they're also, I don't know if it happens.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I know they like Steve Ballmer's the last person who would want to blow this thing up, but at this point, you or at least not at this point, but maybe by the trade deadline, if things have not improved drastically, because you need things to improve drastically to just even make it like competitive at this point and like try to get yourself there. But if they don't, I wouldn't be. I would hope they would try to move on and maybe try to get a pick or something back, because at this point, like, hey, you're going to give a top pick to the OKC Thunder, and they've only lost one game on the year so far.
Yeah, look, it's been a couple weeks since we've been on the podcast, and a lot has changed, but that has not changed. The Thunder have not lost a game yet. Actually, something has changed. They got an all-star back.
Oh, yeah, J-Dub returned.
J-Dub is back in the lineup, so they are 20-1. Again, their one loss was by 2 points. Yeah, I mean, it's very clear that they are on a whole other level compared to everyone else in the NBA. And I mean, I think at this point of the season, I mean, they're 20-1 right now, Joey. I know we talked about it on the last podcast, but do you think that there is a chance that they could go for, some sort of record with their record? Like, could this team go out and get 70 plus wins in the season?
I think 70 wins is almost a lock at this point, the way they're playing, and now you're getting J-Dub back. I feel like 70 breaking the records and going like the 72-10 or 73-9. Yes, it only matters if you get that ring at the end. So it's one thing to, hey, go for the record, but if we learned anything from the Warriors in 2016, records aren't all up to be.
Yeah, again, it's just another one of those things with the Thunder. Like, I feel like they could get it without even really going for it.
Like, they could get the record and then the number 1 pick as well. That would be just the absolute worst thing in the world.
That would be crazy. That would be absolutely crazy. So, yeah, not great things going on in Clipperland right now. But, again, a lot of time to turn it around. But they've definitely been in the struggle. I mean, they're 2 games ahead of the Pelicans in the West, like, for the worst record. I mean, that's the crazy thing. The two worst teams in the Western Conference don't even have their pick right now. Like, the Pelicans are giving their first-round pick to Atlanta, as it seems right now, unless Milwaukee stays in the lottery and they somehow jump up ahead of the Pels pick. And then the Clippers pick is going to Oklahoma City. It's absolutely crazy that's the situation that we're in the bottom of the Western Conference. But back to the East, because the top of the East does look – very different right now. Of course, already talked about the Pistons. The Knicks are now back up to second in the East, but a team that we have not talked about a lot so far this season are the Raptors. The Toronto Raptors have been very good so far this season, 14-7 on the season. Ben, what has been your thoughts overall on the Raptors and how they've played?
Yeah, the Raptors, they've been great, as you said. And Brandon Ingram, he's got it back to putting up like all-star caliber numbers with the Raptors. That's been a lot of fun to watch. He's put up some big scoring games while playing some great defense, and he seems bought into what the Raptors are wanting to do, and the team seems bought into what Darko Rajakovic has them trying to do, and I'm happy for Darko with this start. It's going to show now to me that he could be a pretty good head coach, and he has coached pretty well. And Scotty Barnes is, been doing Scotty Barnes stuff, putting up points while also being versatile on the defensive end, doing some pretty good stuff there. And yeah, the Raptors are a tough team to score on. They play a hard style of basketball, which I like for them, which is good. But it'll be interesting to see how they do going forward, I'm wondering if they're going to be able to keep this up. What do you guys think?
Uh, I kind of think the same thing. If we're gonna buy, sell, or hold this team, I would buy in that this team is probably my favorite to go win the NBA Cup this year. If it's not OKC Thunder, the Toronto Raptors, at least in the because I haven't watched many Raptors games, but in the 3 Raptors games I have seen where they absolutely whooped our Cleveland Cavaliers, um, Brandon Ingram is him. Jakob Pertl dominates. The role players are playing great. That one game, I think it was Halloween, where they had that one random guy. I don't even know his
Oh,
name.
Jameson Battle.
Yeah, Jamison Battle came in and literally could not miss from the 3-point land that game. Like everyone's been, like you said, Ben, buying into what Darko is putting down, and it's going to good things. But at least in the League Cup, they look incredible. They finished the 4-0, second highest point differential in the East besides the Orlando Magic, but third overall besides the Thunder as well. So
Yeah, I'm excited to talk NBA Cup. The knockout rounds next week because those are coming up, and we have some pretty intriguing matchups there. It's obviously the NBA Cup isn't the biggest thing in the world, but it's fun to have those types of matchups here early in the season. We have some fun ones coming up. But as far as the Raptors, Ben, you're absolutely right. Their guys are buying in, which was something that I think we had concerns with going into the year with a lot of players that were at similar points in their career and some similar players, but everyone is filling in their role. Like, again, Brandon Ingram has been a great addition to the Raptors. Scotty Barnes has had a big bounce back here. Quickly's been a good point guard. RJ Barrett putting up 19 points a game. And the role players, Jakob Pertl, Sandro Kilishvili has been a nice, piece for them, providing, some scoring off the bench, some outside shooting. Jamal Shed, Colin Murray Boyles. It's crazy. They're performing this well, and Grady Dick, has honestly had a pretty bad season. They're getting some good play from Jacoby Walter, but, it's the great thing. Like, eventually when, let's say, Jacoby Walter starts to have his stretch of rough games, Grady Dick will probably have some good games. Like, they're going to be able to find guys to perform when they need to the most. And yeah, they're definitely a tough team to go against. And I'm excited to see how they do, going forward. They've definitely been impressive. Another team that's been impressive in the East has been the Miami Heat at 13-7, who, Joey, are playing a completely new brand of basketball, all pace and space. They're one of the top scoring teams in the NBA, if not the highest scoring team in the league. They can run teams out of the gym like they did with the Clippers last night. So, what do you think about the Clippers?
The Clippers or the
Or
Heat?
The Heat.
I was about to say the guy I'm talking about. The Clippers are really missing. Norman Powell, Stormin Norman, has been fantastic for the Miami Heat, in my opinion. Bam Adebayo is healthy now. He's playing great as well. I do really like this run and gun kind of fast style team for the Miami Heat. They've been fun. Heat culture is a thing. I thought they would at least take a step back, maybe wait until maybe Hero comes back and stuff. Has he returned yet? Or
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he
back.
is.
He's played in 3 games.
3 games? Okay, so he's just returned. Yeah, no, and just getting him back. I thought they would have struggled more before, but now here they go. They're just gonna continue to go on, and I've seen some good some good games from Jaime Jaquez a little bit. Khalil Ware's been playing good. Like you're kind of getting production from everyone a little bit. What you kind of see from a Spoelstra team.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Now with Hero back, so obviously the numbers are a bit skewed, but they have 10 players averaging 8 or more points a game, which is really good. Like your 10th leading scorer is 8 a game. Like that, and that's Nikola Jovic, who right now isn't even in their lineup. So they have a very deep team, and another team, like we said about the Raptors, that has guys that are buying in, and playing well. Again, Norman Powell's been fantastic. Bam's had a good bounce back here. Wiggins has been good. Hawkins has been a nice bounce back story as well. And now with Hero back in the lineup, we should be, seeing their offense surge, even more. We'll see how they play now that someone that needs the ball like that to that extent is, now back in the lineup. We'll see if they can continue that offensive surge when they play against, better teams going forward. Of course, they play the Clippers, here tonight. They won't really have a major test going forward for a little while here, so they'll be able to rack up some more wins. And then, they're another team that has been playing so well. So they're in the knockout round of the NBA Cup where they'll be playing the Orlando Magic, who have been, super hot as of late as well. Final thing before we get out of here, we are a quarter of the way through the season. So I brought my first quarter All-Stars, who I think are, the All-Stars at this point of the season. I formulated this like you would, like if the All-Star game was happening tomorrow, with 12 guys from each conference fitting all the positions, with what, 4 guards, 6 forwards, and then 2 wild cards for each conference. And what I found for each conference, I also took injuries into account. So if there are guys that have only played, in 50 to 60% of the games or less, I didn't have them as All-Stars. I'll start off with the Eastern Conference with my starters in the East. These are, I think these would probably be the lock of the 5 starters, but I want to hear what you guys think. I think the guards would be Cade Cunningham from the Red Hot Pistons. I think Donovan Mitchell is having his best season in the NBA right now. He's been very efficient for the Cavs. Then the forwards, Giannis. Obviously, Giannis is Giannis. Karl-Anthony Towns has been very solid. And then Jalen Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks has been monstrous.
Interesting. I thought you were going to say Duran there for a second, but you're absolutely right. Jalen Johnson has been on fire, especially with Trae Young dealing with injuries. The Hawks have been still playing like pretty competitive and pretty well, even with him out, because everyone else is stepping up. Jalen Johnson is the main man, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then Ben, my reserves that I do have 3 tough cuts from each conference. So I had 3 extra guys that are on the cusp that did not make it. So let me know if you would have had any other guys in these spots. There are only 7 spots for these, reserves along with the starters. So the backup guards: Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Brunson. Maxey, another player, he's been ridiculous this season. He's another one of those guys that's taken a major lump. Forwards, I have Scotty Barnes from those, hot Raptors. Jaylen Brown, who's been really good as the number 1 option for the Celtics, who've been playing better than expected to start the season. And then Bam from the Heat. And then my 2 wild cards. These were super tough, but I try to give some love to some teams that have been solid to begin the year. So I went with Franz Wagner from the Orlando Magic and Josh Giddey from the Bulls. So Ben, my 3 tough cuts were Brandon Ingram, Norman Powell, and Jalen Duren. They could not make it on this list. Ben, would you have had those guys over any of the players I had on my list?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, see, who was your backup center?
Bam was one of the backup. Or I should say, us as Cavs fans have been hard on Evan Mobley. He's still been putting up all-star type of numbers, I think. No?
I think he does not deserve to be in an All-Star this year. I'm happy he is not on one of the tough cuts either. He doesn't deserve it.
20,
wow.
10, and 4 still. No?
Really?
All right,
Me personally, I'm hard on him. Sorry.
Well, Joey's giving tough love, but no, I guess I was too. I didn't have him on my tough cuts to start off with.
I would much rather have like Jalen Duren or Scotty Barnes or I won't have any of those guys over him.
Yeah, so it's tricky. It could change. Things keep going on, but I would say I pretty much agree with your list, Miles. It's just like I can't really think of anything I would change. Really, I like Bam over Dern. I like Bam there. It's the backup because the Heat, they deserve someone to be in there as an all-star with, him just playing great defense and getting Beck's doing pretty well on offense, and now he has like a good jump shot at offense. It's impressive, Bam there, and yeah, he had Brandon Ingram not make it. That was kind of a surprise to me. For me, it's kind of hard to debate between Scotty or Brandon. I think I would lead Scotty, but I'm thinking Brandon Ingram's actually deservable of it, and he very well could make it. But we'll see.
I think that's a question we'll have when we get closer to to picking our all stars. Is if it comes down to only one all star from the Toronto Raptors, which one gets in? Is it Barnes or Ingram? And I think that one's very difficult. I ended up going with Scotty Barnes because he's had the more all around efficient year, great playmaker, great rebounder, and he's putting up 20 a game. Ingram has been great still though too. I mean, I don't think you'd go wrong with either of those guys, but I just went with Scotty over Ingram for there. It, I it, I hope that Jalen Duran can get in. It just was hard with this list of actually getting him in though. It was actually kind of hard.
That's fair. I would honestly, I'll be honest, I would take him over probably Scotty Barnes, Jalen Duran, just because with the Pistons, if they hold on to that one seed by the All Star break, they fully deserve to have both him and Kate in there. I feel like because they're the one seed and they're playing way above, at least right now, the most consistent basketball in the East right now. So
Yeah,
I would have to give them multiple All Stars.
maybe even Duran over Giddy.
Yeah, maybe a wild
Giddy,
card slot.
yeah, he'd be another wild card spot. But even like, the Pistons. I mean, they're only 2 games above Toronto, like in the state. Like it's still super close in the standings. So that's why like I don't know if I could take a Raptor off to give the Pistons 2 when it's so close.
That's fair.
Um, but we'll go to the Western Conference, which does have some injuries. So I'll already say Wemby would absolutely be on here, but he's not on here because he's been out for the last couple weeks or so with the calf injury, which actually I think made this a bit easier to formulate the All Stars. I think the starters would be Shea, Luca, Durant, Şengün, and Jokic. I have both Rockets starters with the way that this is looking, and then the reserves I've got Ant Edwards, Austin Reeves as a lock as a guard because I think he's been that good. And then I have Steph Curry and Devin Booker as wild cards, both as guards, and then the 3 forwards interesting names here. Chet Holmgren from the Thunder. I think the Thunder. You got to give the Thunder 2 All Stars with 20-1 start. Lauri Markkanen has been great for the Jazz. Super good.
Love
and then
that.
a first-time guy from my favorite team in the Western Conference, the Portland Trailblazers, Denny Avdia, I think is going to make his first All-Star game if he keeps up the play he's had this year. If anyone's been living under a rock, the numbers this season, Denny Avdia is putting up 26 points per game, 7 rebounds and 6 assists, 48% from the field, 38% from 3, and 80% from the line, getting to the line 9 times a game, which is top 5 in the NBA. He's literally been playing like a star there in Portland. What do you guys think about those All-Stars?
Love that Denny pick. I fully support. I think those are pretty obvious. I would completely agree with those All Stars personally. I don't think anybody else, like there are some other guys that you could think, but I can't really argue against any of those guys not getting picked.
I think the West is easier to figure out than the East right now. I think the East is a bit more debatable. Like it was a bit debatable what you had for the East, Miles. But for the West, yeah, I agree with you guys. I pretty much agree with what Miles has. I can't really complain. I love the Denny and Lowry Marketing picks. They've been putting up, just career high seasons so far this year. Shout out to those guys. And yeah, the guards, boy, Steph only being a wild card's kind of crazy, but it just gets to show you, wow, the guards in the West are loaded. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, when we get to the actual voting of the game, I mean, it's gonna be very difficult when Wemby gets back in the mix because he's gonna have to be in the game. LeBron, I think, is gonna have to be in the game regardless of the numbers that he's putting up. I think he'll still get voted in by the fans. He still will absolutely get voted in by the fans. And then in that situation, some of these guys that are really deserving are gonna miss out on an All-Star bid. Like I think Denny Avdia should be a lock for an All-Star game, but he may not make it because LeBron's going to have to be in the game. Wemby's obviously going to be in the game. Or maybe the Thunder don't get 2 All-Stars. Like Chet Holmgren's numbers, he's putting up 18 points, 8 rebounds a game, which, is solid, but some of these other guys might get more love, which is just crazy. So I think right now, because of those injuries, the West is easier to, formulate your all-stars than the East. But when we get down to it, man, it's going to be difficult.
Hey, can't forget about Chris Paul going to get that veteran
Oh,
going his retirement. He's going to get that veteran all-star like Dirk and Kobe got later.
that might be what they actually have to do because they're. Yeah, I guess the problem though in the East, like there's not really any of those guys in the East. You would like to have some from each conference, but there's not really any of those old legend guys in the East at
No,
all.
there's none.
No, sorry, Kyle Lowry.
Sorry, Kyle, get out of here.
But yeah, so there's our quarter one report. Still crazy that we're already a quarter of the way through this season. In the next episode, we will take a look at we'll see if there are any other trends that come up through the league, and who knows, maybe we'll get back to some of that head-to-head trivia when hopefully our boy Coach Cove comes back into the fold of things. But that is all for us today. You guys have anything else before we get out of here?
Don't think so.
All right, well, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.